And the crazy thing is, I used to be so anti-pulp. One time my mom got pulp, and I used to strain my orange juice to get the pulp out of it.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember like the strainer, and I would pour the orange juice through it. Now, if I get it, Grove stand for life.
That's disgusting.
I love it. I want to chew my orange juice.
That's so gross. That's so gross.
I love it.
So gross.
All right, everybody, welcome back to episode 27 of the Popboyz, where you ain't a pop boy till you pop.
Boy.
I am joined on my right by my brother Dan.
What's up, guys?
And to my left, no John Simpkins today.
Empty chair.
Yeah.
Just the ghost of John
A
Simpkins.
lonely chair. Yeah. So John has a little sickness in the family today going on.
Yep.
And he could not be with us.
He's down with the sickness.
He's down. Yeah. Get down with the sickness. Who sang that song? It's not System of a Down.
I don't know.
Disturbed?
Maybe. I don't know.
Disturbed?
I guess I
Andrew, can we go to the record on that one?
Down with the sickness?
Yeah,
Yeah.
just Google that.
You sure it's not System of a Down?
Yeah,
Maybe
I'm pretty positive.
that would be kind of weird that their hit song also had the word down in it.
What were your guesses?
I said
It's either Disturbed or
I said
System of a Down.
Disturbed.
Or Rage Against the Machine,
No.
no?
It's Disturbed.
it's
Okay, yeah.
Disturbed. Yeah. It's a
All
great
right.
song.
It was a great song.
I mean,
Yeah.
there was a point where there was just a lot of really intense songs that were popular. The early 2000s had some bangers, but they were like arguably very intense, like just
Yeah.
crazy music, but they infiltrated pop music. Like we've talked about it before. Korn.
So good.
Like the band Korn is just, it's mind-blowing how popular they
Freak
were.
on a Leash, one of the best albums of all time.
Unbelievable. System of a Down,
Yep.
like their chorus was "My self-righteous suicide."
Yeah.
It was insane.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, I guess they took like the 90s grunge
Stained?
and just like put it over the Stained. Yeah.
Stained was just like so intense.
Yeah.
And you just come home from school and you just be like, all right, popping on a Stained
Yep.
CD, and
Yep.
you would just get it.
Yeah. Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah, Rage.
Even like it's kind of they're like a meme at this point, but Limp Bizkit
Limp Bizkit just
like kind of
smashed.
falls into that. Like
Linkin Park?
Linkin Park was great.
Yeah, Linkin Park is still.
Yeah. Hybrid Theory?
Oh, I mean, I still listen to Linkin Park. My wife the other day, she was actually busting my chops. She's like, I was like, oh well, I put on some Linkin Park. She was like, you listen to Linkin Park
Linkin
still?
Park's so good.
I'm like, Linkin
Early
Park
Linkin Park was so
slaps.
good. Hybrid Theory and Meteora
Right.
were so good.
It was such a popular genre to just be intense that even Christian bands got in on it.
Yeah.
POD.
POD.
Remember POD?
Yeah.
Like POD and Creed.
We are. Yeah.
The Youth of a Nation.
Youth of a Nation. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
POD. Sum 41.
Yeah. Well, then that started to get into like I feel like that Blink 182.
Now we're getting into
41.
like pop punk type.
Yeah, the pop punk. But there was just so many. You remember Rob Zombie?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
It's just like, hey Rob, what are you gonna write songs about? I'm gonna write them about death and killing people. It's like, oh, all right, cool. Like, what record producer was like, greenlit?
Yep.
Like, I'm doing this. Let's sign this guy up. He has dead babies tied around his neck.
I have two very good friends from college that married each other.
Okay.
And they are both successful architects in the greater Boston area. Both licensed, and they just like work their day job. They're like project managers of like very, very big projects, very expensive projects, and they go to like Rob Zombie concerts on the weekend. They love it.
People love Rob Zombie. They love him.
Yeah, they love him.
That was such a crazy time. Such a crazy time. And there's one band that it's like you didn't think that they would, and I am terrified to even have this conversation, but Insane Clown Posse. ICP, the Juggalos are still out there.
See, yeah. I mean, are you a fan? Is that what we're saying?
I was never an Insane Clown Posse fan, and I'm afraid if anybody listening to this is a Juggalo, then I mean,
We're gonna get we're
I mean, no disrespect at all to the Juggalo community,
no.
but it wasn't my.
We're allies of the Juggalo community.
Absolutely, like I stand with the Juggalo community.
Yes.
Maybe not everything they stand for, but we're
not looking for trouble. That's what we're getting at.
Yeah, please.
We're not looking for trouble.
Don't come at me, Juggalo community. Got respect for you, whatever. But
Right.
yeah, they still get a lot of staying power. Every once in a while, I still turn my head and I'm like, oh, there's a person with a black and white painted face. The Juggalos.
Yeah.
They're out here.
Yeah, they're out there.
They're still repping.
Yeah. Well, good for them. Longevity.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how we got there. Down
No.
with the sickness.
John's down with the sickness.
He is down with the sickness.
Or at least folks in his family are.
Yeah. So, we're missing John, but he's here in spirit.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but
Forever in our hearts.
yeah, always on our mind. Okay. So I think we got breaking news. Dan
Yeah.
is
Big
now
weekend.
Daddy Dan.
Yep.
He's upgraded from Uncle Dan
Yep.
to Daddy Dan.
Right. It's a creepy nickname. Very creepy nickname that I did not sign up for, but I'll take.
Yeah, you got to take it. You get it whether you want it or not.
Yeah. Busy weekend.
So how did it go?
Busy weekend. Celtics won. Bruins won. Live betting in Massachusetts now.
Yeah.
Probably the biggest part of my weekend.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you been placing bets?
So we had baby pops out. I look at the clock. I'm like, Bruins are on in an hour. I'm putting the first bet.
Getting some action.
Yeah,
in.
I'm putting an early parlay, baby's first parlay of Bruins Celtics that day and night.
Did you win?
Won them both.
Nice.
Quick $100 in the pocket.
Boom.
Already starting the college fund.
Damn.
Yeah, that's what I said. I'm like, all right. They're it's got to be somewhat of a lucky day. If I'm gonna
Ever
win any bet,
Yeah.
this is the most surefire bet of all time.
Yep.
So I'm like, let's parlay Bruins and Bruins went down 2-0 within 10 minutes.
You were ready to take the baby back.
Yeah, I'm like, forget
And
it.
they're like, return to sender.
Forget it. Not lucky
This
enough.
is not a lucky baby.
Yeah. Otherwise, yep, had a kid.
Yep.
And pretty crazy.
Yeah.
A pretty crazy experience, I would say.
Would anything unexpected happen? Were you fully mentally prepared for everything?
So they always say expect the unexpected.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that's what, not that I have beef with, but I guess I expected so much of the unexpected that nothing, knock on wood, at least as far as the labor and delivery process went,
Yeah.
everything went so wildly smoothly
As expected.
as expected that it was kind of I'm only speaking for myself. I'm not speaking for my wife. I'm only speaking for myself, but I was it was a piece of cake. Absolute piece of cake. One of the easiest days I've ever had. It was
Purely speaking for himself.
purely so
The person that a baby didn't come out of.
Correct. So we start on Friday. We had to go into the hospital early Friday because my wife had to start just with a antibiotic right away. So we knew that we were going to the hospital early than most people. Most people, I think, kind of do some of the labor at home because it's more comfortable. It's not necessary to be in the hospital for that sort of stuff.
Right.
For us, it was. So we knew that we were going in early. So for Friday, I was just chilling. I was on vacation mode. It was the first day off I've had in a long time.
Yeah.
Of purely day off. You can't do anything. I had my laptop out. I was kind of doing some ordering stuff of things we're trying to get, but it was yep, you have to sit here. You have this tiny ass 32-inch TV on across the room. I'm just watching Jeopardy.
Yeah.
And then I'm yeah, I better just go to bed because I have a I don't know what tonight's going to be like.
Yep.
I don't know if I'm going to be woken up at like 2 a.m. and then I'm just up for the next 18 years of my life.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm at least going to get like a night of sleep here.
Yeah. See, that was
As much as I can.
That was always my hack. It's like a long car ride. You gotta get sleep before you think you need sleep.
Sleep early and often.
Yeah. Just your wife's gonna be in
Bank
the
it.
bed. Yeah.
That's what I was like.
the
I gotta
hours.
bank some of this sleep. And I was just like, yeah, this is like like nurses were coming in. They're like, you need anything? Like, I'm
A little
like,
more water, please.
yeah,
You got
I'm
your
like,
sippy
sweet.
coffee.
I'll take some water. Come in with like, with the like paper still on the straws. Like, I
nice.
was like, this is sweet.
Yep. Shout out to Plymouth.
Yeah.
Israel.
Shout out Plymouth BI. Yeah, the nurses were like awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So yeah, Friday was like a breeze, and I'm like, I expected to be woken up at some point. I finally wake up, like light coming in, and I'm like, it's morning.
There's a plate of fresh fruit with honey next to you and a cup
Yeah.
of coffee.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
the
like,
best bed and breakfast I've ever been to.
I'm like waking up, like birds are chirping, and I look over, and my wife is kind of like doubled over. So I'm like, oh, okay. Like
Something's changed.
I think we're starting the process. Basically, long story short, like it's 6 a.m. and the whole thing was the baby was the head was down, which is what you want, apparently. But it was down in the reverse order. Apparently, when you're supposed to come out, you come out face up. She was face down.
Gotcha.
So my wife's, a lot of the like contractions were like destroying her back. And my wife has always been the like girl who cried wolf, girl who cried back pain.
Yep.
So it's like ever since I've known her, it's just been like whatever. She's always had back pain.
So you're just kind of it's washing over you. You're not.
I'm so numb to her saying her back hurts that like when she woke up being like, "Oh my god, my back's killing me." I'm like what else is new? Like this ain't contractions. Like nurses keep like taking care of other people. These are just normal. Like this is how she lives.
She's fine.
So, but the nurses were like, "Yeah, no, that could happen if the baby's like." Anytime you're getting back pains, the baby's usually facing the wrong way.
It's her nose scraping against the back.
Scraping against the tailbone, apparently.
Yeah.
So they're like, it's not best to give birth that way, so why don't we try, they called it baby spinners. Something like that, something spinners. I think it was like baby spinners.
So like that Asian lady that's the plate spinner?
Red Panda?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Red Panda.
That's what she does. I'm not going to go into any more detail.
No. So they're like, yeah, just get up and you just basically kind of like walk around. You can kind of like bounce a little bit on like a yoga ball. But they're like, just get up and like move around so we can like try and spin and then come on back. Cause my wife was like, yeah, I'll take the epidural. And they're like, yeah, well, you got to do this exercise first because as soon as you get the epidural, you're not freaking walking anywhere.
Yeah.
So let's try and spin this baby around before we do the epidural. Got it. Sounds good. We do a lap around the maternity ward, and she stopped like 3 or 4 times to just kind of like double over and just like, unfortunately, no like screaming. I was hoping for like a movie like, scene type of like screaming.
Not even during the birth?
Nothing.
Wow.
Silent, like eerily silent, and so like no screaming. I'm like it's okay, like let some screaming out. I'm thinking this is like an Olympic weightlifting type scenario here.
That's the way I've seen it.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
so I'm like, you gotta like scream. It's bound to help. Everyone screams, right? Scream, do something. Nothing. We're walking back.
Give you the satisfaction.
So we're walking back, get back into the into our room, and my wife's like, "Yep, let's do the epidural," and the nurse is like, "Yep, sounds good. I just got to flush you with some fluids first before to make sure you're hydrated before we do the epidural, and then I'll call the guy up." And she said, it's going to take a little bit. Someone just came in with a ruptured appendix. So we got like 20 minutes until he can actually get up here.
Yeah.
So let's hit you like 10 minutes with some fluids, and then we're just have to kind of like wait for him to like do the appendicitis person. Like, all right, sounds good. Now I'm like, why don't you go into the shower? Like a little bit of hot water. I'm a huge shower guy. There's never been a more like two shower people than us two.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like shower makes everything better.
Yep.
So I'm like, let's kick the shower on.
Yep.
Let's turn it up and just kind of like have the warm water kind of like be on your back.
Yeah.
And the nurse like looks at me and she was like, that's a great idea. Like she was about to walk out of the room, came back in the room to be like, that's a great idea. I'm like, all right. Like dummy idiot dad sitting in the corner. Actually
take a shower?
Yeah, I'm like, shower? They're like, yeah, let's do that. I'm like, cool. We hop in the shower, or she hops in the shower with like a chair. But I'm wearing like one of these gray sweatshirts, and like the nurse was like, hey, every time like a contraction comes on, you might like try and kind of like push down on the back because it'll kind of like ease some of the pressure.
Yeah.
Like fight pressure with pressure. So I'm like, all right, sounds good. And it's helping. My wife says it helps. So I'm like, all right, I got my job. I am soaked.
Yeah.
I'm in the shower, like fully clothed, soaked in the shower. And obviously no one cares about me in this situation, but whatever. So I'm getting like poured on. And like a half hour goes by, and it's kind of just like, all right, like they're getting closer and a little more intense. And my wife gets up and she's like, all right, yep, like let's get that epidural going. Hop in bed, cool. Midwife comes in, let's just check you, see how far along you are. Checks, there's the head.
Right there.
Like just looks and goes, there's the head.
Oh.
So it was like, cancel the epidural. That's not happening.
Yeah.
There's no point in doing that. So they were like, yeah, you just get, it's 8:30 at this point. Again, my eyes opened at 6 a.m. and now we started the walk around at like 6:45. It's 8 o'clock at this point, or like 8:30. And they're like, yep, just go ahead and start pushing. Because like you're just having a baby right now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? All the nurses are like,
that is the crazy thing. It's like you think that it's not like anything else where it's like, okay, we're having surgery. This is the schedule.
nothing scripted.
Nothing scripted at all. It's completely like, we're going to see how it goes. And then it's like, oh, it's going. Oh, all right, go. Okay, baby's here.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was like, it was super fast. The nurse who was with us the whole time, shout out Shannon, she was just kind of like there making sure, like makes the call, hey, we need a midwife in here, we need the baby nurse that comes in, like, so two other nurses come in plus the midwife come in, and the midwife's like, oh, hang on, like gets a text of like some emergency or something onto her phone, and she's like, hang on, I just gotta like take this real quick. And like legitimately almost missed the birth.
Yeah.
She was gone for like 5 minutes, and the other nurse was like, you gotta come back in here. I do not. She was like, I don't get paid enough to deliver babies. So she's like, you have to get back in. Like it's happening.
Yeah.
So she comes back. She's like, sorry about that. And she's like, oh shit. And like
Put those
the
gloves
baby's
on.
out
Yeah.
at this point. So she like gloves up really quick, basically lays down like a tarp you get at like Home Depot. It
Yep.
looked like. And like pushes it in, and like baby comes out.
Yep.
It was like that quick, basically. Yeah, I was expecting like, you hear horror stories of like, yeah, push for like 6 hours.
Yeah. I think, and it's so crazy because everybody's different. Like everything's different.
Yeah.
Every kid's different, but.
Yep. So there were, yeah, the actual like pushing that you see in like movies of me just being there like the dumb idiot next to her, like, keep going. I was like, this is gonna get so old after like hour 5 and 6.
Yeah.
It lasted literally 15 minutes.
Yeah. See, has not been my experience.
Yeah.
But
That's what people say.
they're
were
all
like,
different.
Yeah. They were like, you're,
Did you cut the cord?
I cut the cord.
Yep.
I cut the cord.
Pretty tough to cut. It's got a little toughness to it.
Grosser than I thought. I imagined it being very gross, and I went in being like, I'm not cutting the cord. It seems so gross. It comes out, and they're like, all right, Dad, like, here you go. Like, not much of like you're expected. Here you go.
Oh, you got to do it.
Like, they did ask, but they were like, cut the cord, right? Like, I guess so.
Well, you're like, I don't know if I'm going to ever have a chance to do this again. You can't deny it.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, yep, I'm going to do it. And if
Give me the scissors.
if it gives me PTSD later on in life, then so be it. But this is what it is. Yeah. And they give me the scissors. They're like smaller than I thought. I was hoping for like head shears.
Dan thought he was opening up a new franchise.
Yeah,
He's like,
that's what I'm used to,
some
like
golden
ribbon cuttings.
scissors.
Yeah. No, very small scissors. And they're like, yeah, cut it. And I'm
You had
like,
to fight.
where?
Oh, see, mine, they gave it clamps. They clamped it on two sides, and then they kind of go, here you go.
The window I had between the two clamps was a little too big for me. Too wide of a window. I'm like, where am I cutting this thing?
It's like anywhere, you dope, cut them.
Also,
Dan needed a Sawzall.
it took a couple goes.
It's tougher than you think. It is
Very
tougher.
much.
It's like almost like cutting through a piece of cartilage or something. You think it's going to be soft, but then it's...
I'm like having shivers thinking about like the texture of cutting through it again.
It's
It's so gross. It's so
As
gross.
there's a sawzall going in the back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
It's like rubbery.
it's a very strange texture.
And I think
The color too.
Oh,
It looks like something out of a movie. It looks like a movie prop.
yes.
That you're like, this looks like something out of the movie Alien.
Yep.
That just is like there.
And we talked about this yesterday, but then what they don't prepare you for, I think the hardest part of the whole pregnancy, the whole birth, is the placenta.
So gross.
The placenta.
So gross.
The placenta.
So gross.
The placenta blows your mind. When it
Well, it's
flops
also-
out on the table, you're just like, what is that? And then they just...
The placenta is the drunk uncle that just shows up
Stumbles
like 15 minutes late.
Yeah.
And it just stumbles in and is like, hey, remember me? It's like, what are you doing here?
The placenta.
Get out of here, placenta.
Oh, and then they put it in like a little thing and they look at it and they poke it and stuff and they show it to you. And you're
Yeah,
just like,
it's like it just turns into a mini like biology lecture.
it 100% is.
It's like I don't want to see this.
It's like you've dissected the frog, but the frog is your wife.
Yes.
And now they're
Yes.
showing you the parts that are.
It's this like beautiful moment that you're like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Skin to skin,
Yeah.
baby on my wife. Oh my God, I
Right.
love you. This is unbelievable. Wow, that was crazy. Placenta just like slaps onto the table.
Yeah. Then the nurse comes over. And they're like, take a look at this.
Yeah, I'm
They're,
like,
poking
I
it.
don't want to see this.
They're like, oh, very healthy. That was
Yep.
great. Yep. She loved it in there.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, they're like, this is where she was, like living for this is the sack.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to hear about
think
any sacks right
I
now.
think the nurses are just so like desensitized to
Jaded.
the situation. They're just for them. It's like they're going to a coal mine.
Yeah.
Like it's just all right, another day.
Yep.
Ho hum. Like
Yep,
But
very
for us,
much
it's
so.
like, oh my god, what is that? They're like, yeah, it's a placenta. Are you soft? You want to touch it? And you're like, no, I don't want to touch it.
No,
Oh,
I
you
want
never-
it out of my sight.
All right, we'll take it out of here. God, you're such a wimp. Enjoy
So
the
gross.
moment.
So gross. Placenta. Yeah, hard pass on anything to do with the placenta.
Yeah.
But yeah, after that, it was kind of just like a knock on wood as far as like the labor and delivery process up to this point. Obviously, things are gonna come up, but like it was remarkably smooth
Yeah.
and like remarkably That's not a phrase I should be saying, but it was remarkably unremarkable how like kind of like everything just went along okay.
Yeah. It's awesome.
It was like the feeding went like an hour after. It was like, yep, like nursing's working good,
Yeah.
which is like that's got to be the most frustrating thing if it doesn't,
Yep.
So that was like another horror story that I was like, this is gonna be so freaking annoying.
Yep.
When you're just up like crying because you can't like feed this baby. That just didn't happen for us. Thank God.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything. And then with the with like an unmedicated pregnancy, apparently it's just like the baby's just more awake
Right.
right off the bat.
Well, and because my wife didn't have an epidural on the last one, and she said that she just felt so much better too. She wasn't kind of like
Yeah.
all like drugged up and out of it. Like as soon as the baby came out, she was kind of like more with it. The baby was more with it.
Yeah.
You know, it seems like, and it was at Beth Israel too. I think that they kind of push for that.
So that's when it all kind of like clicked to me, when our nurse kind of gave me the like wink wink nod, like that's a really good idea to just kind of like put her in the shower.
Yeah.
Because she apparently like definitely saw the signs of like this is progressing a lot faster than
Yeah.
what is normal. And she was just like, just keep it going. Like as
Yeah.
long as she can like withstand the
Pain.
contractions so
Yeah.
far, like just do it that way. It's gonna be so much easier
Yeah.
after the fact.
Yep. Yeah.
And it all seemed to have been. Yeah. It just like, again, anytime I've ever seen like a little baby in a hospital, it's like they're just asleep for the first like 36 hours.
Yeah.
But like ours basically came up like and was just like eyes open looking around. It's
Yeah.
like, what are you doing? You're supposed to be asleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But I guess that's kind of how it works with like unmedicated.
Yeah.
Do you think that your hot shower solution was the reason it was such a smooth delivery?
I'm not gonna. Some people are saying that. I'm not gonna say it. I'm gonna let the reporters say what they want to say. I'm not here to take any credit for anything. I'm a team player.
Just do
But-
what you can.
But I will say the nurse came back and was like after the fact, baby's out, and it's just kind of like, all right, we're doing the weighing, all that stuff. And the nurse is just like, good call in that shower, dude. I'm like, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like,
Oh.
I'm not a complete buffoon.
Well, I mean, not in the shower.
I just like showers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm a
Showers
big-
save you again.
I'm a big shower guy.
Yeah. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Yep.
Awesome weekend.
Yep.
Yeah. Good stuff all the way around.
Yeah.
Jumping in, I mean, business wise, we're still working. We're still painting, drywalling, spackling. You know, getting stuff going. So
Yeah.
the roof. Yeah, the roof's
Yeah, we
done.
did the siding.
Siding's done.
Yep.
Yeah, so hopefully next week we're gonna start kind of ripping up the courtyard, start getting the exterior
Yep.
moving, and turning it into a garden instead of an empty lot like
Yep.
it is right now. So
Just like landscaping stuff.
yeah, so we're excited about that moving forward.
Yeah.
Do we have an ad read?
Yeah. Well, so this is probably going to be our first like actual ad. In a way,
Okay.
where it's like it's not.
There's a call to action.
There's a call to. It's not. There's no
joke.
joke about it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So we started.
Not yet.
We have alluded to the boardwalk
Yes.
for the beer garden, and we wanted it to be a place that kind of people feel like ownership in it, members to it, of friends and family, things like that, and we like the aspect of like the sandwich boardwalk,
right.
carving your own plank, or us carving a plank of whatever you wanted to put, a message, names, quotes, things like that. We really liked that, and having the community and our friends and family kind of really being like a big part of like the whole thing.
Right.
So
Yeah, so we're going to be putting up. We have basically a site that's going to go on our site.
yeah, so we have a page on our site now.
Yeah.
That's live as of the last 30 minutes. We just put it live, where it's basically a pre-order for the boardwalk planks.
Right.
You can buy a 4-foot board or an 8-foot board.
Correct.
We do all the carving for you. So you just, and we will basically, when you pre-order this, when it comes time for us actually installing the boardwalks, the planks, we're going to send out to everyone who purchased a board. We're going to send out a like a form basically,
Right.
of, okay, what what do you want? What you have this many characters to choose from. What do you want it to say? Do you want any special, do you want a heart? Do you want a 4-leaf clover? Do you want like some sort of symbols we'll have, a sailboat, things like that? And we'll just kind of like nail down what everybody wants. But as of right now, it's just kind of like a pre-order, and just seeing how, we don't want to like run out. We wanted to kind of put it up to like basically our friends and family first, and anyone who's watching this podcast is definitely in that category.
Right.
So figured we put it up to them first, and then if we have any left over, then once the beer garden opens, then it'll kind of be like, as people see the boardwalk planks, we imagine they're, oh shoot, how do I get one of those?
Right.
That type of thing.
Yeah, and we're working on, so the people that have boards, we're going to call them board members, and we're working on what kind of perks that those board members might get. And so some ideas that have been thrown around are, a T-shirt that says board member on it, with a beer garden logo, maybe with Poseidon on it. Mm-hmm. We've talked about different, beer mugs or, certain pours that you would be able to get, by being a board member. We've talked about potentially throwing, a party, board member only party, where people would be able to come and it'd be all friends and family, and everybody that has a board would kind of be a part of that party. So
or at least the pre-order people.
Right. And yeah, exactly. So we're really trying to kind of flesh it out and make it kind of like an exclusive club that, if you do have a board, there are fun, kind of Easter egg perks that are associated with that, with that board, with that club.
Yeah. And as we keep growing and expanding inside and things like that, we'll start to get more and more ideas of like, oh, this would be fun to do with the board members.
Right.
That type of thing.
Yeah. So for right now, it's kind of like, all we can guarantee is that you're going to get your name carved with a board, board with your name or your message or whatever you want on it. But as we said, we're going to kind of always keep it in mind as a fun thing to do with our, community of people that support us. So,
yep.
Cool.
Yeah. Just as far as pricing, the 4-foot length is $250. The 8-foot length is $500. And we'll go with that. We've looked at like the sandwich boardwalk pricing. The new one that they're putting in, they're at like $350 and $500.
Right.
So we're kind of like matching that. So that's kind of what we're going with. And we are in this project for a lot more than that. Yeah. I will say that. So like,
yeah. No. And like I said, I think it'll be a fun thing that, you'll get the board at first, but like Dan said, as we grow and as we, hopefully things become more and more successful, and as we have more, more space to play with and, more money to play with, then we'll go, oh, okay, these would be a fun idea to do with these people. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a really cool thing. Okay. So do we have an Am I the A-hole?
Yeah. Let me get that. All right. Now I'm going off of the headline here. Am I the a-hole for asking my boyfriend to hold my bag while I use the restroom? Today I went to see my boyfriend of 5 years and a few months. He and I went out today to get some ice cream, after which I said, I need to use the restroom. It wasn't the type of quote unquote having to go where you have to go for 10 minutes or so, but more of a quick pee and exit. He wanted to eat his ice cream, so I asked him nicely to hold my bag and ice cream as I didn't want to put them on the floor. He began protesting, saying he wanted to eat his ice cream. I had to go, obviously, so I gave him my stuff and ran to the bathroom. I was upset to come out to find that he put my ice cream and bag on the floor and was standing there eating his ice cream. Normally, I don't ask him for things like that, but I didn't want to take my bag and food into the bathroom, as they were kind of dirty. I got a little upset, and instead of saying anything, he starts laughing at me about it. Later, after I left, I tried texting him about it and letting him know I was upset. To which he responded that I need to find another coat rack. And he proceeded telling me to shut the F up. I told him I had only asked one thing of him, and if he really expected me to stand there and argue with him when I had to use the restroom. He said he didn't damage the bag and nothing happened to it, but I find it disgusting that he put my food on the floor instead of holding it for 2 minutes. I asked him if he really couldn't wait to eat his ice cream, and he responded he shouldn't have to be my coat rack. He continuously kept telling me the issue is not a big deal, and although it may not be to him, it is to me. And I wouldn't do that to him. His response was just awful, and I let him know that he upset me, and I will drop it. And then after the third or fourth time, he told me to shut the F up. I can't help but wonder here, am I the a-hole for asking my boyfriend to hold my bag while I use the restroom? Thoughts?
I think this is a tricky one because, I mean, do you have immediate thoughts?
Yeah.
All right, go.
They're both the a-hole. They're both the a-holes. I'm not a good bag holder either. I hate having to hold a bag. It's the most emasculating thing.
It's not that big of a deal.
It isn't that big of a deal, which is exactly why you should just hold it yourself. It is not that big of a deal to hold a bag, especially when it's your bag.
But what if you're like, you gotta pee. You want to put the bag on the ground
Why would you have to put the bag on the ground?
Where would you do with it? You just put it on your lap while you sit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what bathroom doesn't have like a coat rack or like a little hanger? Most of them do. If you're really in a pinch, put it under your armpit if you need to like pull up the pants or anything. Like there are other ways to do this. Because if you were by yourself, you just wouldn't go to the bathroom?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a lot of experience with handbags, and going to the bathroom with them, but
women do it.
They do it
when they're by themselves.
And I would imagine even the stall has the little opening that, like, if you had to, you could kind of hang it on there. I mean, I also don't think it's that big of an ask to be like, hey, can you hold this bag real quick? And the ice cream, like, obviously we're not talking about cones here. We're talking about bowls. If somebody put a cone on the ground.
Oh, yeah, I guess you're right.
That's
why I said they're both an asshole, because I'm thinking cone on the ground is psychotic.
If I asked somebody to hold my ice cream and they put the cone on the ground, I would break up with them.
You
right
have
there.
to.
I
You
would be
have
like,
to.
we are completely done.
Yeah.
Even putting
That's
my like
insane.
bowl of ice cream on the ground,
That's bad.
I'm kind of like, we're done.
So that's why,
That's hard to come back from.
100%. That's why I'm kind of in the stance of like, she's the asshole because it's like, just take your bag in.
Yeah.
He's the asshole for putting the ice cream on the ground.
Yeah. If somebody asks you to, like, yeah, I guess I could see that.
Because you're not, it's totally understandable not to bring ice cream into the bathroom, obviously.
Right.
So if my wife was ever like, hey, can you just hold my ice cream while I go to the bathroom? No sweat.
Right.
Because you're just a normal guy holding 2 ice creams.
Yeah.
That's fine. But as soon as you're then the guy with 2 ice creams, and then the woman comes and puts the bag over your shoulder now, and you're the guy who's just standing there, who now you're not able to eat your ice cream's melting, you're sitting there with a purse on your, like, no. She's an asshole for that.
Yeah. See, I don't think the bag would bother me that much, but I definitely see the point where it's like, okay, you've figured this out before. If you're a woman, you have clearly figured out how to use a bag and, where you're going to store it and when you have to use the bathroom, things like that. Like this, like you said, if you're by yourself, you'd figure this out. But the ice cream, like...
Ice cream on the ground, it's like, if it was just the bag and the guy was like, no, I'm not holding your bag. Like, just hold your bag. It is a weird thing to make that big of a fuss over.
Yeah.
If she's like... I'm never going to get into like a yelling match over this type of thing.
Yeah.
Over really anything, but especially this. It's just like, all right, fine. And then as soon as we get in the car, I'll bitch about it then.
Yeah. See, I would probably
I'd be like, come on. Like, stop
I'd
doing
probably
that.
hold the bag and I'd be like, all right, I'd be like, fine. And if it really bothered me, then I'd be like, what do you do when you're alone?
Yes.
Like, how do you handle that situation when you're
Yes.
alone? And she's like, well, I take it in with me and I hang it over the thing. So it's like,
Great.
okay.
Do that.
Yes.
Do that every time.
Yeah. But again, I don't care that much about holding the bag. But the ice cream situation, at first I was thinking cones.
It's crazy.
And then I'm like, it is kind of annoying that your ice cream's melting in a cone and you have to like wait for the other person to get out of the bathroom. But in bowls, a little melted ice cream isn't the worst thing.
I think does it? Sorry to interject my opinion here. I'm kind of. Does it say how old they are?
No, but they do seem
It
young,
said,
right?
Well, but it said they've been dating for like 5 years.
5
right?
years.
That to me, the fact that this is that big of a deal, like there's some other issues going on.
Obviously, there's
there.
some
Like,
underlying stuff.
The fact that she's got to go on Reddit and be like, I asked him to hold my bag in my ice cream, and
Yeah.
and she's so mad. Like,
Get out now.
He's blowing up. Like,
And-
this thing's not gonna last.
No.
Like,
So they
so-
have to be
Shocking it's lasted 5 years.
definitely they have to be young, because who dates for 5 years and is like, yeah, so I went and picked them up.
Yeah.
Like if you're
yeah.
if you're out of college, and you've been dating for 5 years, you're living with that person.
Right. Typically.
So these people are either in college or high school, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Especially the response to her, like saying something and him just being like, "Shut up." Like,
That's
That's like a high school response. This does sound like a high school thing.
yeah. I would agree. And I mean, they're going on ice cream dates, so
Don't poo-poo
oh,
an
yeah,
ice cream
yeah,
date.
yeah. Watch where you're
Don't
stepping.
poo-poo an ice cream date.
look, I'm fine with an ice cream date. I'm just saying, like in my mid-20s, maybe I went on ice cream date after I
True.
did other things, but I wasn't like,
Yeah.
oh, what are we doing for our special day? Let's go get ice cream. It's like, you got to go to a restaurant.
Nah,
You got
it's
jobs.
It's the perfect
True.
icebreaker date though. Like you're not.
Yeah,
you're
but
not
5
But
sure
after
years.
5 years,
Well, yeah, after 5.
And you're calling it a date? It's like, all right, you want to grab some ice cream at 5 years? Like,
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know.
yeah.
There's a lot wrong with this post.
It's weird all the way around.
Yeah.
Everywhere you slice it. Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta say his reaction of being so extreme is he's the bigger asshole.
He is the bigger asshole, but she's not without her faults.
I agree. All right.
All right.
Got any topics? How we looking on time, Andrew?
Can you guys want to take a guess where you're at?
43 minutes.
That's really strange. It's 43:30. But like,
Okay.
yeah.
There you go.
I had no
Sure,
idea.
with the beginning stuff, that'll probably be almost exactly 43 minutes.
Okay. All right, go ahead, Dan.
Are there any drinks that you don't pour into glasses, that you go right from the container? I have one thing that I go right from the serving container every time, without fail. I don't even think about it, and it's the only thing I just drink right from the container. And I don't really know why. Well, I guess I kind of do know why.
Orange juice?
Orange juice.
It's got-
Right from the container every time.
Yeah. I don't drink anything other than water, pretty much.
Yeah,
I pretty much only drink water, but orange juice is the one that I would say, and I don't know why. I don't know why either. But I did when you
I
were
think it's
saying
just
it,
when
I
I-
was thinking, I'm like maybe milk, maybe like a Gatorade, but I was like, no, maybe a soda.
Because, like, pouring a glass of orange juice, I don't want a whole glass. I want, like, a shot of orange juice in
Yeah,
the
just a
morning.
quick sip. I remember when I was a kid, our grandmother, Granny, shout out to Granny, she always used to have orange juice, and I remember we'd go skiing,
Mhm.
and I would love drinking orange juice first thing in the morning, and because I could feel it like go down my throat,
Yeah.
and I'd call it the pipe cleaner. Be
Sure.
like, need a shot of pipe cleaner.
Yeah. Yeah. It works.
Yeah,
I really do. Like, I wake up and I'm just like, take a swig.
yeah,
I don't need a whole glass. Don't waste the glass.
yeah.
But it's kind of strange how it's like the one thing. Everything else, I'm like, you're barbaric if you're drinking milk from the carton or like.
Yeah,
anything else.
I don't drink anything from the cartons because I feel like if my kids saw it, it would just set such a
Oh,
bad
yeah.
precedent where
yeah.
like, oh my God, they're so germy as it is, and like, you know, they'd be backwash city.
Oh yeah.
Be drinking milk and there'd just be like floaters in
Yeah, you have to do it in hiding
it.
for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely like you're ducking behind the door of the
Yeah.
fridge and just like going at it. Yeah.
Yep.
Orange juice definitely is one of those ones you just go right from the container.
You guys are. Do you like with pulp or no pulp?
Big time no pulp.
Big
Like-
time pulp.
Ooh.
Homestead. What do they call it? Grove stand.
Grove stand.
Grove
oh
stand.
my god.
You don't find like there's nothing weird about that when you're swallowing and you can
It's
feel
absolutely
it, like,
disgusting.
I love pulp.
It feels like you're just drinking dead skin.
boogers, like boogers.
I feel
Yeah.
like I'm just drinking a blended up orange. And the crazy thing is, I used to be so anti pulp. One time my mom got pulp, and I used to strain my orange juice
Oh,
to
yeah.
get the pulp out of
Same.
it.
Oh yeah.
And I remember like the strainer, and I would pour the orange juice through it. Now, if I get it, Grove stand for life.
That's disgusting.
I love it. I want to chew my orange juice.
That's so gross. That's so gross.
I love it.
So gross.
I love chunky peanut butter too.
I'm okay with the chunky peanut butter.
That's different.
I don't know. I like the chunks.
No, there's something about the texture of pulp.
Oh, I
It's
love
just
it.
it reminds me of just like dead skin.
It tastes like real orange. Though.
No, it doesn't.
Tastes like
doesn't
you're-
taste like anything. The
like-
pulp doesn't taste like anything.
I love the pulp. It's my
God.
favorite. Yep. Grove
That's gross.
stand.
That's gross.
Stand.
One more.
Yeah. What's your favorite quote?
Um. Hmm. I like get busy living or get busy dying.
Shout out Shawshank.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that quote a lot.
It's a great quote.
I'm trying to think if there's like another one that like stands out.
Simple quote too.
I like I mean, I guess like as a loop back from our first discussion of like music, Incubus. Love Incubus.
Love Incubus. Yeah.
Their song "Make Yourself."
So how's the quote go?
It's just that's the name of the song, and it's just kind of like make yourself.
Yeah.
Like I like that.
Like you're in
If I ever
control
got
of
a
your own life?
tattoo, I would get a tattoo that just said "Make Yourself."
Really?
I love that like thought. It's like you take all the blame, you take all the credit.
Mm-hmm.
There's no like religion involved in this, like no higher power or anything like that. It's like you are responsible for you and your actions, good or bad.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good one. Get
about
that
you?
tattooed. I'm trying to remember exactly how it goes. Risk is the tariff paid to leave the shores of predictable misery.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you want something great in life, you have to be willing to take the risk. And if you're not willing to take the risk, then you're just gonna stay.
Expect complacency.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just expect to be miserable where you are because you're just kind of like you know what you already have.
Mhm.
You know it's not going to get better. If you want it to get better, you have to risk something to try to make it better.
Yep.
Yeah. Like I know when we were like starting the business, I really told myself that quote all the time.
Yeah.
Like I remember I read it and it was by this chef and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I love that quote." And then I realized that the chef, I had this restaurant that I loved in New Orleans called Restaurant Revolution, and it was the best meal I've ever had. And so I saw the quote, and then I looked up the chef and Wikipedia'd him, and it was his restaurant that I loved.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I was like, this is crazy.
That is
Yep.
very coincidental.
Yeah. And he had like started like a jambalaya company and he like sold it everywhere and he was like a poor kid from, like the Bayou and done it and
Yep.
yeah. Would you ever
like
get a
that.
tattoo?
No.
Yeah, I don't think so either. But if I did, I would get a neck tattoo.
What? Why?
I don't know. I always wanted to get hustle and block lettering across
Oh
my
my
neck.
god. That is so dumb. That is so dumb. Yeah, I don't know. I
feel like if I got one, it would be extreme. It would have to be extreme.
Yeah.
I wouldn't get it on like my my back shoulder. It
Yeah.
would be like a face tattoo or something.
Yeah, well, yeah, fair.
Go all the way.
I wouldn't want the like having to explain my tattoo to
That would be
everybody.
annoying.
It'd be
Yeah.
so annoying. So yeah, one of our employees just got a new tattoo, and he's been asked so many times,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of like spiritual meaning behind all of it and everything like that, which I think is good. I think it is. It's kind of, I don't know. I'm not saying it's dumb, but it's kind of stupid to get a tattoo for like no reason. I think it should have some meaning behind it.
Right.
But like the more meaning behind it, the more you have to explain to people.
Right.
And then it's just like, I just don't want to have to explain all that.
Yeah. I thought
It's gonna
about
be so
getting
annoying.
the outline of Cape Cod somewhere.
Yeah.
But that also, it's kind of like
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I think it's like,
I feel like tattoos jump the shark.
yeah, I think tattoos are kind of become like everyone has a tattoo. So now you're kind of like the different person with not having one,
Yeah.
being kind of like,
Oh man,
I don't know, what do I need a tattoo for?
I have a story with this. So I was talking to my wife about this a while back, and we were talking about birthday parties. And I was talking about, she's like, well, what do kids do when they're like, 14, 15 years old? She's like, what are we going to do with the kids? And I had a flashback. You ever just like have these moments where you start to like think about what you did at that age? One of my friends would every year, starting at 14, would have a tattoo party.
I remember you going to this.
It's an insane thing. Okay, so let me set the scene. It would happen at his house, and a man would show up, and the man would smoke a pack of cigarettes, and he would tattoo 14, 15, and 16-year-old kids. And they would all have signed forms from their parents that allowed them to get tattooed. And we would all sit there, and he'd be like, okay, who's up next? And we'd play, and we'd have soda and like pizza. And the tattoo artist would just sit in a chair, and he would just pull everybody up, have the book. You'd go through the book like it was a henna tattoo party, but
they're
just
permanent
real tattoos. And I had a friend group of probably like 10, 15 guys. I think 12 got tattoos, 12 out of 15 at this party. Sometimes, year after year, multiple tattoos.
What a bad idea. All around.
I love this family. Like they're
Yeah,
great people.
they are.
I still see his mom the other day. She works at one of our wholesale accounts.
Yep.
Saw her, gave her a big hug, and it was like didn't think anything of it. Like you just had this form, and like I'd remember my parents just being like, yeah, like you if you want to get one, like you can get one, but like we advise against it. You're like 14, 15 years old. I'm talking like freshmen in high school. This is like not
Think of how dumb you were as a freshman in high school.
I mean,
Maybe the dumbest I've ever been.
absolutely at my complete dumbest.
Yes.
I mean, I don't. There was a good window there, maybe like freshman to like 21, where there were some years
Compounding against you.
Yeah, exactly. I had compound interest of dumbness every year. But at 14, 15, because all right, this is how I know that I was young, because nobody drank at the party.
Yeah.
By like sophomore, junior year, people were like drinking and stuff. We'd be at parties.
But how crazy is that? Where
But
it's just
stone
like,
sober, a bunch of kids, like boys, girls, like even I remember a girl I knew. She was just like, and she was a year younger than us, so she might have been in like 8th grade or 9th. Like maybe we were sophomores, and maybe she was like in 8th grade or 9th grade, and she got like a musical clef. She was like a singer, and everybody was just like, I'm talking like at the end of the party, everybody had like bandages on, bloody. I mean, and if you saw this guy tattooing us, his name was Tex, and he literally just like he was probably like 65 years old, and he smoked a solid pack of Marlboro Reds in their kitchen and just tattooed all of us.
insane.
That's the crazy story. How many of those kids do you think faked the papers.
Oh,
Like-
yeah. I mean, I remember downstairs in the basement, like one kid would sign for another one. And it would just be like, all right, you sign as my mom, I'll sign as your mom. And then us being like, okay. Like, I mean,
All right.
it
yeah.
was not on the up and up. It's not like their parents had to show up at the party and
Right.
and be like, okay, here's my waiver. Yes, Mr. Tex. Like, here it is. I don't even know if the guy changed needles in between kids.
That's what I was just thinking. I was
No
like, there's
chance.
no way this was like sanitary.
no chance. Kid just, put down your Capri Sun and hop in the chair.
It was literally like that. Like, I think I was sitting there drinking like,
Ecto
like,
Cooler.
yeah, Ecto Cooler and like root beer, pouring myself a root beer and just watching, like standing next to my friend, just be like, whoa, like, like just like inhaling Marlboro Red smoke as he just ripped through tattooing. I mean, that guy had to tattoo 25 kids that night.
It's just insane.
It was
It's an insane thing all around.
Yeah. And it would like start like his dad had a bunch of tattoos. So like his dad sat down and like he got a tattoo first. Then the birthday boy, it was like cake. Like the birthday boy got to get his first. And then literally it was like, okay, who's up next? And it was like, oh, it's almost my turn. I got to wait. Blah, 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 blah. Like, and they just ripped through and just tattooed everybody.
I would be so mad at myself if I got a tattoo like that. Like, you gotta imagine it's just an instant regret in a few years. Like,
Yeah.
it's just
A lot of them have turned it into so my friend who was the birthday boy, he turned it into like a sleeve. You know what I mean? Like it all got incorporated into like part of his tattoos. Like, my other friend has kind of like, worked him into other things. Like, but I mean, it's one of those things that like I went to college and I remember telling people that story and they were just like, their jaw was like on the ground. And I was just thinking to myself, I was like, you didn't like nothing happened like that for you guys? And they were like, no, like a bunch of
insane.
14, 15.
well, now having kids, so that's like in basically like 7 years,
Right.
you're looking at that.
Yeah. Yeah. I
You're gonna have a tattoo party?
no. I would say it was like the 90s. Yeah, I guess it was like the late 90s. I guess that's what people say when they're like, well, it was the 70s. That's the way it went. But like, so now we're at that stage. I heard somebody say the other day, they were like, well, it was the 90s, man. And I was like, I don't know. The 90s, I didn't think were like that.
These were
But
pretty tame.
But now
Yeah.
it's not. When you look
Yeah.
back on today's lens, you're like, oh, okay, tattooing a bunch of children was not.
Yeah.
I didn't know. My fault. Hands up.
Yeah. No, I guess, yeah, that is. And maybe we're going to out our parents here, but we just had a discussion with our father. Our dad was like, yeah, how's, like, you sleeping well? I'm like, yeah, as good as we can. You're up every 2.5, 3 hours feeding.
Yeah.
And he's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, yeah, it's a newborn child.
Yeah, and I
have to
walk in
feed
as
them.
this conversation is going, and he looks over at me. He's like, "How many times? How did you wake the baby up to feed it?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, you got every like 2 hours." And I hadn't heard any of the comments. He's like, "Oh, I don't know how you guys lived."
Yeah. They just flat again. He's probably saying the same thing. Oh, 90s, different time.
Yeah, 80s. Yeah, like what can you?
He was like flabbergasted of like waking a baby. I mean, it sucks. Like,
It sucks.
when that does dawn on you that you're like, because I had that moment in the hospital of being like, what?
Yeah.
I'm waking her up to feed her.
Right.
They're like, oh yeah, like 10 times a day.
Right. Get it.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I don't think our parents did.
No. But and then that's the thing. You survive. You survive all these things.
Yeah, life finds a way.
Yeah. Oh man. All right. Well, thank you for tuning in to episode 27.
Yep.
John, we miss you.
R.I.P. John.
Yep. And to my buddy Bill, those tattoo parties were a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Because he might be listening to this.
Yep. Shout out Bill.
Yeah. They were a lot of fun. Reckless but fun.
Yep.
Hashtag get guy.
Yep.
And yeah, thanks for tuning in.
See
Time
you
to get
next
back
week.
to work.
Later.